Millennials of Reddit, now that the first batch of Gen Zs are moving into the working world, what is some advice you'd like to give them? Old_gold_mountain says, don't compromise a decision that's in the best interest of your own career growth because you feel it would be a disservice to your current employer. They will do a disservice to you in a heartbeat if it's in the best interest of the company. T142,002 says, to piggyback on this, make sure you consider all benefits, both tangible and intangible in your decision, not just monetary compensation. Obviously money is going to be one of the major factors, but things like having a flexible schedule or a good direct supervisor are worth something in your decision. So are growth potential, commute time, and insurance. Make your decision based on all these factors, to the extent you can know them prior to accepting a new job. Bears Beats Burgers says, this is important. Healthcare, cost of insurance should be considered. If the base pay isn't the best, consider the value of the benefits offered. Free health insurance can equate to several thousand saved over the course of a year. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn the notification bell on. LS_D says, free health insurance can equate to several thousand saved over the course of a year, and not getting sick in the first place is very important, and all you must do is eat well, exercise properly for 30 to 60 minutes 3 times a week, at least, and learn how to breathe. If you are sick, you won't be working anyway, and that's a shitty way to exist, so stay healthy by learning how. Your most precious possession is your health, one of the classic things you don't appreciate until it's gone. And it can go, in a flash, crash, or a breath taken at the wrong time, or sex even. Hogashog says, isn't that called serfdom? Adaboswagons, with extra steps. Toby Therobot says, no. I mean feudal lords didn't really offer great health plans. 1WRX2 Subaru says, for industrialized countries, the lack of free or inexpensive healthcare is largely a US-American issue. If living elsewhere, this can often be ignored or is mostly a minor issue. Carry on. Pantron 420 says, definitely. Unless the insurance was on par with my current job, I'd need a pretty big pay hike to consider moving on from my company, and considering they also pay me well, I'm doing pretty decent at the moment. Bears Beats Burgers says, that's what keeps me at my current job. I don't pay anything for my excellent insurance, whereas my husband pays $600 per month for his shit insurance. McTerrific says, unless you don't live in a shithole country with no universal healthcare, of course. Nate 800 says, yup. I have awesome healthcare right now, my company literally pays my deductible. That _guy_who_ says, super important. PTO is literally pay for not working, same as benefits of all kinds. $1 saved is $2 earned. Shebalongston says, PTO is negotiable. 2 weeks is not acceptable. Cranks says, PTO isn't negotiable at a lot of places anymore. A lot of times it's written out as a policy. Probably trying to prevent issues between co-workers. Fernando Tartas Jr. says, at every company I've worked at, PTO is based entirely on how long you've worked there. I've tried negotiating PTO at my last interview, but they showed me a sheet that breaks down how benefits work based on seniority. Juster_flesh_wound says, I've had the same thing but have always been able to negotiate more PTO than the handbook states I should have. At my current company I asked for 4 weeks, settled for 3, at hire, should only be at 1 according to the handbook. My last place once offered me a 3% raise. I said I'd rather have an extra week vacation. Ended up with the extra week and 1.5% raise. Ruman Koke says, and unlimited is a fucking scam for cheap startups. Let them tell you how many days you get and take all of them. I used to have unlimited and was made to feel bad for taking like 8 in one go for an international trip. At my new job, I took 12 in a row and no one batted an eye. I had them, I could take them. IME, unlimited, is only good for the odd Friday or Monday off, maybe along with Thursday or Tuesday. Multiple consecutive days will be judged. Cory Gore says, it's definitely not negotiable at some companies. I work for a pretty big company and it's based on years of service. Starting with 180 hours 1 to 3 years and jumping up 10 hours every few years. Plus holidays, and we get 2 weeks off at the end of the year, paid, option for free healthcare. Second best 401k. And the thing I'm going to take advantage of is going back to school to finish my degree and not have to pay a penny. Mole09 says, ridiculous when my friends in Europe have like a month plus off right away. Sen Ted Stevens says, my last job, I got almost 4 weeks PTO plus we got all federal holidays off and half days on the day before that holiday. That was almost 2.5 months of PTO. T3H_Pangle1N_of_DOOM says, WTF, that's amazing. What type of job was it? Sen Ted Stevens says, it was a pseudo non-profit. LS_D says, it was a pseudo non-profit, a charity scam. Sen Ted Stevens says, it was a reverse funnel system, thank you very little. I could set my own hours and work at the leisure of my home. Osseous says, and your commute, saving 45 minutes to 1 hour a day, twice a day, adds up, could be like 190 to 250 hours a year sitting in a car doing nothing. You can use that time doing a lot, and you save gas, and such. I work 7 minutes away from home, and I spend about $30 a month in gas. Mr. Electric says, not only is it time, but mental well-being as well. Even thinking about my 50-minute commute home is rage-inducing. Let alone actually doing it. Lars Jr. says, this is why I do a 25-minute walk train instead of a 15-minute drive. Those 20 minutes of walking are infinitely more calming than the 15 minutes of insanity. Plus no finding a parking spot, no inability to get trashed after work, etc. Itrolalalt says, before you begin all of that, there's a step 0. Decide what's the most important first, stuff you listed plus money, benefits, time off, low-stress work, cutting-edge technology, career advancement, Fortune 500 versus startup, travel, location, stability, relocation, telecommuting, etc. Nobody can have it all, so only 1 to 3 should be chosen as top priorities. Homer69 says, I could make probably 20k more if I left my company, but I get 22 vacation days, 10 sick days plus major holidays, the time between Christmas and New Year's off, Black Friday, Thanksgiving and a few others. I also work from home 3 to 4 days a week and only go into the office on Friday like once or twice a year. My manager is great and my work is easy. Those benefits outweigh the money. Bamf Banky says, Gen Z here took my current job because the floor supervisor I work with is super kind and a good friend. Always looks out for me and getting me hours. Now he's leaving in a month and I'm probably switching stores because his replacement is gonna suick dick. Neighborhood says, this time's a million. I'm still with the first company I ever worked for out of college. Instead of moving every few years, I just worked up as I saw opportunities. Now I'm 29, make 163k a year and I cannot show up to the office for weeks at a time without anyone asking questions. Job gets done, we're all good. Had I moved around like my friends I would probably have gotten to this salary point sooner, but none of them have the freedom I have. I work by pools, travel constantly, etc. I would turn down anything under $250,000 if it meant losing this freedom. Above that I'd probably consider it because $yal. Finish Your Beer says, what do you do? Neighborhood says, manager remote IT department all based in the US for a privately held company also in the US. I also always finish my beer. RS_Ali says, time off is literally what made me decide to stay with a company. I could make more money but I'd have 6 days less off per month. That's a ton of time I'd be sacrificing and it's worth more than money to me. Human Cock says, and commute. Years ago a guy we hired and really liked looked out the window at I-5 backed up with cars and said, I have a 10-minute bike ride to work now, it was so worth giving a 20k pay cut to come work here and not have to deal with that shit for 15 hours a week. 6 Mile Drive says, I'm happy with my comp, so for me my supervisor is likely the second most important thing. Had a mental breakdown this morning, not the first time by any means, and he just made things work even though it impacted very real and very visible deadlines. I'd go to war for the guy and I'm not leaving anytime soon. Sir Rogers says, absolutely. I probably could have gone elsewhere and gotten a little more money and certainly a shorter commute, but I've got a boss that loves me, a fairly flexible schedule, great benefits, friendly co-workers, and a great casual environment. I'm sure I'll pretty much have to leave eventually because there is practically no growth potential and the money would not be enough to support more than just me. But for now I'm as happy as I can expect to be at any job and that is worth more to me than what I would gain by leaving. Boonastusbig says, so much this. I quit a solid paying job because it was stressful, bad hours, and a horrible culture. I make less now, but I'm not miserable 24/7. MXM Null says, all kinds of this. I didn't find out until getting into my current job that the manager was a fucking crazy person. Thankfully she got fired, so the place is mostly chill now. But it was touch and go for a while. If I had known she was nuts I probably wouldn't have accepted the job offer in the first place. Heruna says, I also firmly believe it will take a few jobs and some experience under your belt to really know what you want in a job, because something might sound great at first, but you quickly realize maybe it's not right for you. For instance, my last job was shift work at an airport. My boss always used to say how wonderful it must be to work 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and have all that time in the afternoon to do stuff. It does sound great, but it was honestly very exhausting to me. I'd be too tired after my shift to do much, and I always just wanted to go home and have a nap and waste sunlight. As I said, it was also shift work, so we'd work night shifts from 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. start to 9 p.m., and that made it difficult because your sleep schedule gets all out of whack. But I'm also not a morning person. My new job is a pretty basic 9 to 5 with an hour lunch, and it works wonders for me. I feel like I have so much more time and energy throughout the day and night. I'm a night owl, so I can go to bed a bit later without worrying I'll be too tired for the next day, and I have enough time in the morning to wake up and prepare myself for work, instead of rushing out the door with seconds to spare. But I also underestimated how significant the coworker dynamic would be. I got along so well with the people I used to work with. Yeah, there were problems with some people who slacked off or made a lot of mistakes, but I enjoyed working with them. It was a great group, and I actually cried on my last day because I was going to really miss them. They threw me a going away party, and I could tell I had made a positive impact there. At my new job, I feel very out of place, and not just because I'm new. I just don't feel like I belong there. I'm very different from everyone else, and I often feel forgotten or unwelcome. I normally don't have a problem acting myself, but I struggle to be that way here. I always feel like I say or ask the wrong thing. The benefits and pay are extremely good, my supervisors are genuinely nice people who'd accommodate for my university and personal needs, and they're more flexible than my last job, which is why I ultimately ended up leaving. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't eagerly waiting for a position in a different department to open up so I might find a place with a better fit. Hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on, as we will be posting more of such content.